Welcome to the Fat Fueled Family Podcast, where every week Danny and Maura Vega discuss topics that help families live a healthy and active lifestyle with their little ones, including nutrition and training, peaceful parenting, education, and mindset. To stay up to date, make sure to hit subscribe on this podcast and check out the blog at www.fatfueled.family. You can also find them on Facebook and Instagram at dannyvega.ms, at fatfueledmom, and at fatfueledkids, and Fat Fueled Family on YouTube. Enjoy the show.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to take a quick minute to talk about our sponsor, Keto Brick. As you guys know, I have been around since the very beginning when it was just an idea, when Robert was getting ready for the show that took him pro and he needed something to help him hit his macros. And I've seen it grow into the company it is today. Just so proud of my friend, and I'm so proud of the company he's built, the people he's been able to help, as he has several people who work for them. And so he's actually helping people make a living doing this now, which is just unbelievable and so inspirational to me. If you don't know what Keto Bricks are, they are shelf-stable fat bombs, for lack of a better term. They are 1,000 calorie bricks, and they have great ingredients. They have ketogenic macros, usually like 88 to 90 grams of fat with 30 grams of protein, and then the carbs are anywhere from 9 to 14. Super low carb, super keto friendly, and you can do all types of cool stuff with them. I tell everybody my favorite is Keto Brick cereal. I chop it up into little chunks and serve it with a bowl of cereal with almond milk or goat milk, which is my favorite. They have several flavors. They now have vegan and whey options. So they have the whey protein peanut butter as well as the old school pea protein peanut butter, which either one of them is easily in my top two. Go back and forth between those and the toasted almond coconut. So definitely go to www.ketobrick.com, get yourself some bricks, and use Vega for a chance to win a whole month supply of bricks. Welcome to the Fat Fueled Family Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Vega, and I'm joined by my superstar wife, Maura. How are you, my love?
Today I'm a superstar. I always have a different adjective, but
yeah, but my love, you've been the last 4 months.
Honored.
You've embodied everything that we're going to talk about with our guest today. You know, I realized after 3-4 months we had this conversation that I was depressed. I've never been depressed, and so that's why it was, you know, kind of a surprise to me. And you know, I was always the wake up at 4:30 guy. You back in the day didn't understand it. You started doing it yourself, and then last year, I don't know, August time frame, I started turning off my alarm, and I'd wake up, roll out of bed, you know, 5, and you'd be, you know, 30 minutes into your stretching routine, your everything, and I just, after a while, I just realized, you know, you push me so much, and after a while, I just kind of like, I don't know, it was that depression thing where you just don't act.
Yeah, it's like no motivation to do anything.
Yeah. And it wasn't even, it was no motivation, but just gotten out of the good habits and added some bad habits, and the mindfulness of that is what woke me up, and now here we are, and now it's like you're pushing me, I'm pushing you, and you know, we had a really good New Year's Eve service where, you know, I had an encounter. I did not expect the tears to come out the way they did. I'm not a crier, you know. So here we are now, and we both are in a really good place for this year. And this year is all about stillness. That's our word for the year, moving in stillness, putting our head down, not worrying about anything that goes on around us. I want to just say, first of all, that you guys are going to see this podcast. We're going to elevate this podcast this year. Number one. Number two, I wanted to announce that I am joining with my great friends, Robert Sykes and Adam Shively. We're doing the Low Carb Hustle podcast. This is going to be, we all have our own podcasts, but us three together, when we get together, you know, we've gone hunting together. We've done so much, and we just have a lot of fun. And the tagline is get lean, get strong, get paid. You know, we're all passionate about, you know, those things. And you know, lastly, the get paid portion is for those entrepreneur minded people who are starting to wake up to the possibility that you don't have to work for someone like I did 2 years ago. And just giving people the tools for that. And we're going to be bringing on guests, and most of all, it's going to be lots of fun. So now that we have that out of the way, we want to introduce our guests. We have retired Navy SEAL Thom Shea, who served with the U.S. Navy for 23 years with distinguished valor before writing his best-selling book, Unbreakable, A Navy SEAL's Way of Life, and his latest release, Three Simple Things Leading During Chaos. As founder of Unbreakable Leadership, Thom has trained thousands of people around the world to overcome chaos by applying the rule of three simple things to their lives and businesses. Thom developed his leadership processes and methods during his military career, where he served in 3 wars, ultimately leading a team of SEALs into Afghanistan in 2009. There he earned a Silver Star, Bronze Star with Valor, Army Commendation with Valor, and his 2nd Combat Action Medal. He was later hand-selected to serve as officer in charge of the famed SEAL Sniper Course. In his downtime, Thom competes in numerous ultramarathons, and alongside his wife, Stacy, who is a superstar in this book, has volunteered countless hours to charity, raising funds through his athletic events for organizations like Special Operations Warrior Foundation and the Chris Kyle Memorial Trust. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degrees from Ball State University and a Master Training Specialist certification from the Naval Special Warfare Center. Thom and Stacy live in Greenville, South Carolina with their 3 children. Welcome to the show, Thom. It's great to have you.
I have to go back and say, tough women make tough men.
I love that.
Tough men do not make tough women. It doesn't happen that way.
It's true.
Yeah.
Stacy really
So I want to acknowledge you
something
too
else.
for that.
Thank you.
That's remarkable, and my hat's off to you.
Well, you gave us one of our favorite
appreciate
quotes
it.
of all time.
Yeah, really.
And we'll talk about it today.
we'll talk
The
about
one
it.
that you mentioned about, a woman who encourages everyone to never quit. We'll talk about that. But I mean, honestly, I don't know if you need to, I feel like you kind of need to have a partner who pushes you. It's almost unfair if you don't, right?
I don't think men do well by themselves. Many thousands and hundreds of thousands of men have tried since the beginning of times, and they don't do well. And then eventually a man will figure out it's useless unless he has a stronger woman than he is. And I found that out the hard way. And and the quicker you figure that out, men, the quicker you figure that out, the easier life gets for everybody. And when women decide to be hard, it changes the world. A strong woman makes everything better. Weak women don't make things better, by the way.
They're usually miserable. I mean, it's funny because
miserable,
we had Suzanne Venker on the show. She's a great author. And so we covered the woman's side of this and how, feminism has made women miserable.
Yeah,
and
miserable.
Miserable.
We're trying to tell women, listen, we're not trying to, criticize you. We're trying to tell you that you're living a life that's completely against all of your instincts, all of your genetic memory, to want to focus on career before family versus, focusing on being, relationships, which is, I think, what we're put here to do.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. Well said.
Well, I wanted one more thing. There's one more thing. I have to say this because Jamie would kill me if I don't.
Okay.
So, we have a mutual friend who is how I found out about this book, and that's our great friend, Dr. Jamie Seaman. We were filming some content in November, and she mentioned the book, and obviously she told me that she's going to be doing this challenge in April if she wins. And then you told me before we recorded that. What'd you say to us?
That's it, Jamie.
Well, you said that if she wins this competition, she's going to come. And I'm like, well, you still get the weekend off, whether you win or lose.
Exactly.
So I'm going to
So you
push
still
it back
gotta
to
go.
you. You still get to come.
You heard that, Jamie?
Yep.
All right. That's it. It's in the books. All right. Well, we are so excited to get this started and have a chat. So we always lead with the question, Thom. What is the most critical problem you are currently trying to solve?
Basics. I don't try to solve anything other than basic. And I try to get myself and my clients and my family out of looking at anything that is advanced or complicated. So I fight complication daily. And I try to make things simple. And that is a very hard process because the world gives you complicated. The world gives you everything all at once. And then you have to figure out what to eat, for example, And so I fight complicated issues on a daily basis.
Well, we learned that the hard way ourselves. I was in corporate America for, almost 15 years. I was a medical device rep, and I had this great client management software. I had all this structure put in place. And, my whole first year, when I quit my job, I was the sole breadwinner. And I had to learn the hard way the first year. I was just, every opportunity looked good. I didn't have organization, and I had to learn that on my own. And, of course, Living Forward was a very good book for me to read, because it talks about exactly that problem that you mentioned. Everybody's drifting because it's like we're being pulled in all these directions. Yeah. We live in a very, if you look at what the culture's doing, TikTok is the top, social media platform, and they're, 15-second videos. Yep. And it's
if
just,
you can make it.
Yeah, exactly.
The drop-off time is actually 6 seconds.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's good. That's like a good drop-off time. So,
yeah.
But yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so I want to start with lesson one. A lot of people would see a challenge like the one you mentioned, which is simply doing a group of exercises. It's I think it's squats, sit-ups, and push-ups. Mm-hmm. Very, very small amount of reps every day for 3 weeks straight, where you end up at 15 in the morning and 15 at night. And I think a lot of people would think to themselves, that looks easy. And it's funny because even you said it took you, I believe, 2 months to get the 3 weeks in a row. So, why do you think we struggle with these habits that seem so easy on paper?
I think we've differentiated our actions from our mindset. And I think they arrive at the same time. And what I mean by that is everybody can work out. There's great workout programs, and you can download 1 million of them probably within the next 20 minutes. Oh, yeah. And if you did them, you would be awesome at whatever you're trying to accomplish. But what those programs don't initiate, that I'd learned in the SEAL teams, is you have to program the mind first. And what I call lesson one was you have to learn to make a promise and keep it. And that becomes a mindset. And by doing that, you can overcome and accomplish anything. And so what I wanted the kids to learn, which was lesson one in Unbreakable, was to honor your word. And by the way, honey and darling and sons and wife, if I don't make it, please try to figure out how to do this. And that was lesson one. So do 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, and 10 squats in the first week, and then 20 in the second week, and 30 in the third week. But the only way that you'll be able to accomplish it is you got to be able to overcome your excuses. And that was what mindset is. Either you excuse yourself from your commitments or you accomplish them by not listening to your excuses. And so in the past, I would say 7 years definitively in training people, but also the 23 years in the SEAL teams, success is predicate, very clear in the SEAL teams, success is predicate not on what you can do, but what you don't listen to in your head. And combat missions are always unwinnable. Like, you're always going to die when you go out on a combat mission. You're never going to win. It's always overwhelming odds. But the SEALs learn to not pay attention to that anymore. So what would life be like if you could no longer excuse yourself from anything? You're just going to keep doing it until you die. That becomes the SEAL mindset. And that makes SEALs rather lethal in their business. And what I saw that the normal people in the world didn't have is any ability to do anything about that. They could work out really well until something got in the way. Like their wife doesn't want them to work out anymore, or they feel terrible today, or their buddy doesn't want to work out, or it's freezing outside, or whatever the excuse is. Then I started to look at all these excuses, and everybody uses them everywhere. Yeah. And they used them to get divorced. They used them to stop working at their job. I was like, oh my God, let's just teach excuses. So what I have done as a business is I make all my clients figure out that 21-day overcome your excuses assignment, and nobody can do it. Everybody excuses themselves from it. But which is a good training point. If everybody could do it, it wouldn't be worth teaching. And but boy, the excuses are real, and they're real. Like even
They're
in your
real.
life, it's real.
Absolutely.
Do another podcast. Damn, I don't want to today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And some people listen to that. They're like, well, you know what? I don't want to today. Nobody's going to listen to the podcast. I think it's stupid, and it's over. Like in half a second, the greatness of what you're accomplishing dies because we excuse ourselves from it. I know it's long-winded, but that, to me, lesson 1 is the most important of all.
Well, I think the other thing that's so important about it is so many of us don't understand that we're listening to that voice. We don't even know that the voice exists.
It's so automatic.
And that's why that first lesson is so important, because it teaches you to really hone in on that inner voice. I think a lot of us, we're not mindful of our thoughts. And that's why, this year it's funny because all these things happen at the same time. I had a buddy last year who committed to running a mile a day. It's nothing crazy, just a mile a day for 365 days. We were hunting in December, and he had just a record day, biggest hog he's ever shot. And I had gotten home to the cabin, and I see in the distance, some lights, some headlights, and it was the side-by-side. And then I see him, they're lighting his path. He's running his daily mile with his AR-15 in his hand. And then about 2 weeks later, he and I both got sick. He's in Virginia, I'm here in Florida. We both peaked at 104 fever. I think when you blow up 700 pounds of pig and you inhale the vapor, you catch a pig flu. And so I had that 104 fever. We had the exact same symptoms, and he was still running his mile. And that just lit a fire under my butt. So I'm doing it this year. And, motivation's high right now. Right now it doesn't count. I mean, 5 days in a row, great. Yeah. But this year it's just that commitment, and I that's the muscle that I want to grow most this year. So it's so timely that we're talking to you.
I like what you had said earlier, not the calming, but what was that word that
stillness.
Stillness. It won't feel like stillness. Right. It'll get louder and more noisy and more ruckus, and you just got to go, okay, I got it, I don't care.
Yep.
I'm just going to keep it going back to the simple things in our lives that matter to us, and don't chase rabbits anywhere. Just keep everything away from you that has no bearing on your own commitments.
Yep. That was last year. It was just we had become political atheists since, 2012. We had just been like, we're done with that. We realized we both have this strong sense of things we want to change in the world. And we realized that we can't change things that way. So what can we do? We can become financially independent. We can teach our kids about money. We can raise good children to become good people, to kind of balance the odds right now. And then we just got caught up with everything going on, and all of a sudden we're watching the news again. We're looking at YouTube
down
videos.
the rabbit hole.
Yeah, conspiracy theories and all this stuff.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. Well, and we'll get to that. But so we both read the book, and we love the lesson on love, of course. And it seems that many of us confuse love with desire, and this is why we struggle with our relationships. Can you explain the difference for our listeners and why this was so vital to your survival while you were in hell?
Love and lust are 4-letter words, but they're not even close to being the same. 2 men can love each other.
Right.
And they can also lust each other. A man and a woman can have love and then have lust. It's very difficult to experience love. It's not have love, but you got to be able to experience it. It's very easy to be passionate, which is lust. But that comes and goes with every day that shifts. And the weather has a big influence on that. And I don't want to base many things that I do on conditions. So I thought it would be pertinent to be able to try to fumble through the explanation to my kids. And what I was experiencing, and every soldier, sailor, SEAL, anybody that you've ever heard about that has been in combat together with another human being, their experience of each other is love. And you won't hear it said that way because I don't think 2 guys they don't talk about it, but you don't identify yourself different than that other human being for a short period of time. Like in very difficult combat situations, I don't exist separate from my team. Like whatever they are doing, that's what I'm doing. And there's no right and wrong. There's people could be dying, people could be injured. There's just each other. And I wanted to give my kids and wife a sense of that. Like I would love to be able to express that, especially from overseas. It was hard to express because the book Unbreakable was written over a 6-month period of time where I was in combat, and I would write notes and I would talk to my family before I would go out. And then I would come back and talk to my family about what I'd learned. And then Stacy and I kind of wrote notes about that. And then the next combat mission I was going to die on, and I would say, you know, this is what I'm going through. I hope I survive and I get to come back and talk to you. And in case I don't, please go figure this out. Figure out what love is. And, oh, see ya. And then I wouldn't be able to explain it. But the profound nature of when you can become one with another human being is transformative. And I think people should seek that in the people that count. Come to find out, even though you didn't answer this, you can only have it with a few people. You can't have it with everybody. And what I've found in the real world, you can normally only have it with 5 other people in your life. No. And if you're the owner of a company, you can't have it with everybody. You can only have it with like your direct reports. And then you could have it with your wife or husband, and maybe you could have it with your kids. But the more kids you have, the less it's available. And I don't know why that's the case. The number 5 becomes a weird point that you can't have more than that. And I wish I could understand it. I've had people try to explain the 5 dynamic to me, but that's a little off point. But love is very profound, and it's very hard to have, but you can't run from it. You got to agree that no matter what happens, like you and I, no matter what happens, I can't run away, and neither can you. And you have to reinforce that. And when you do have that with somebody, then it changes everything that you can do together. And I wish more couples would try to hone in on that skill set. Like there's no way out, y'all.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
There's no way out. We suck together, but we're going to keep sucking together. We're going to keep doing it together. And it's a great phenomenon to experience. And I wish everybody would have an access to it at a level that they don't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we this again, coming back to the tough woman, the wisdom of my Proverbs 31 wife, she told me, I think, when was it that we were like bickering, like in 2019 or something, and she said, you know what, I just realized, like, we're under attack. So when you're under attack from an outside source, you're in it together.
Yeah.
And so, like, ever since she said that, and plus we're so sensitive to it because we just see how much people quit on marriages, and it's just so sad. Like, we're at an age, I'm about to hit 40 in February. We have a lot of friends who've divorced once or twice already.
Lots of weddings we've been to that already are.
Yeah. Second weddings, third weddings. We laugh because the number 5, that was my high school number, and my college number was 32. And we always see 5 everywhere.
Yeah, you always.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
But I understand what you talk about with that type of love, because my first career, I was a collegiate strength and conditioning coach, and it started at 5 in the morning and it ended at 9 o'clock at night. And it wasn't a job; it was a way of life. It was understood that we were going to eat our meals together. We ate, Thanksgiving dinner together. And it was funny because when I left that career and I got back in touch with them, it wasn't the same.
Yep, gone. Yep.
All those things. It's like you're out of the club, and it's understandable because you're not living it anymore. And I agree with you that I think more people should experience that type of, like, knowing yourself in front of other people in really difficult situations where, you see them at their best, their worst. You see they smell the worst smells that they've ever, kicked out, all those things. Right. There's nothing like it. So I guess I got to go. These words, I'm telling you, my wife is repeating them over and over. Ever since reading Stacy's words, Tom, don't fear death. It makes you weak. I can't help, but think of the parallels to last year and, the unprecedented amount of fear around the world. What have you observed and what lessons, if any, can we learn from what 2020 is?
Fear is learnable. You're actually not born with fear. You're born with scared, like the reaction to a loud noise. There's some smells that all humans react to, like they get convulsed if certain smells. But fear is learned, and it's always learned. But once you have agreed to the thing that, so it's a scary thing. We talk about it. My board and I talk about it quite a bit, and I have a bunch of clients that we discuss fear. Fear is the most horrific condition to ever have in you, and it's learned. And there's no reason to ever experience fear in life. But nobody is teaching you not to be afraid. They're giving you things to be afraid of.
Constantly.
Everywhere. The social media world is bombarded with the amateurs that are teaching fear.
Right.
They don't even know what it is. It's just teach it. It's a horrible condition. We got taught fear of crowds. Overnight, the world was afraid of crowds. And then we got afraid of each other. Then we got afraid of going out and getting food together. And it was taught. And there are some true believers that if you do that, they're going to run you out off the road, and they're going to close your business down or burn your business down. But fear is the most detrimental emotional response that any human could ever experience. I could talk about fear for days. In combat, the only thing that gets you killed is fear. Because fear will make you hesitate. Fear makes you always do the wrong thing. And then if you consistently do the wrong thing in a bad situation, you die. And I've never seen people even get injured that didn't have fear. So if you don't have fear, you will avoid most things that can get in the way and hurt you. Most of the injuries that I've seen in life and in combat came from fear. From that SEAL, that person reacting out of fear, and then they do something wrong. And you can see it happen. You're like, oh my God, it's going to happen. And you can't stop them from doing it.
Yeah.
And but in the business world, fear has stopped businesses. There are some businesses that are afraid to open up.
Yeah.
But fear becomes real for everybody if you keep practicing it. And when my big experience that I had tried to write about in Unbreakable, which I think was chapter 9, was my deepest sense of how fear can cripple somebody. I had gotten blown up with an RPG. I'm laying on the ground, and I was afraid. Was for sure I was dying. I knew that I'd got hit. I just couldn't feel any pain, and I had convinced myself, which is what fear is. You're convincing yourself of something, even though it's not true. Right. So I'm laying there in my brain, quitting on myself and dying. And literally the only thing that brought me out of it was Stacy grabbing my face the last night we were together. But in my dreams of that moment in Afghanistan, she grabs my face and says, "Don't fear dying. It makes you weak. Fight." And right now, it's even hard not to be emotional when I hear myself say that. And it stopped. The fear stopped. I'm like, well, fuck it. I can do this.
Right.
And I can fight. I'm a really good shot. And I'm like, okay, I can shoot this guy. He's 600 yards away. All I got to do is see him for half a second. But fear had prevented me from even doing that. And then it got worse. Then everybody else was crippled around me with fear. because we were pinned down. We couldn't do anything. So I just rallied simple things. We're going to fight a little longer. How about a little longer? And then we ran out of rounds, and we had to drop a bomb on us that ultimately didn't kill us, but killed all the Taliban that had maneuvered in on our position. And it was just we were gripped with fear. And the only way to overcome it is don't fucking pay attention to it. Just don't listen to it. Go do the things that you're really good at doing anyway, in the face of being afraid to do it. And once I had learned to do that in that situation, it was life-altering. Now fear doesn't come up. Now I just have to decide what I'm committed to. Because what will happen is I'll end up going to do it until it gets accomplished. So I'm very poignant now. Be careful what I commit to, because that's going to determine my next year,
Yep.
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought that up, chapter 9. I was just reading that this morning because I really wanted to finish the book. And I don't remember who it was in that story that told you this, but I wrote this down. You cannot avoid death by running from life. Death will come when it wants to. Walk forward and live. Sit here or go back and die the miserable life of fear. So that just stood out to me.
There's a guy that told me that. I wrote that into the book because I thought it was a great quote. A guy that had been 17 years old. He was the first guy onto the sands of Iwo Jima as a 17-year-old guy.
Wow.
And he had told me that when I had flunked out of West Point. And I'm like, why is this guy telling me that? I'd grown up with the guy. His name was Pat Tomlinson. And he had some great sayings like that. And I had written that down. And when I finally got the ability I didn't lack the fear of writing the book. So in writing it, I had put that in there because I thought it was a poignant thing to remark on.
That's wonderful. So both of us loved your quote on a woman's role in society. It reminded me of, what is that? Leonidas' wife.
Yep.
Gorgo in 300. I obviously didn't see that movie.
Yeah, sorry. I put that in there because it reminded me of it, because she was like, if you remember 300, like she's like, go do your thing. Do what you're supposed to do. We're good. And it's just like so inspiring to see a woman like that. Like I could not be married to anyone else but you, because I think a lot of men are intimidated by a woman who's doing something. Like right now, my wife, she partnered with the business. How long has it been? 6 months, 8 months?
Since March.
She's been on a trajectory that's pretty much like vertical. And, imagine I was the big breadwinner, and it never once hurt my ego to see her. In fact, I was like, you know what? I can't believe this. She's always needed this. We didn't know she needed this, but she did. And I guess it's like everything else. These things like your book should be, on every bookshelf. These ideas that you're talking about should be the most popular things. But we should
teach in schools.
But we have WAP.
we have
the music and the crap.
We have the 6-second solver.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And it's the same thing with husbands. I guess they people just don't like being challenged. It's uncomfortable.
I think so. Well, back to the question though. So the quote reads, and it's such a good one. Like this could be put on a plaque on the wall.
Yep.
A strong family, a robust society, and a powerful warrior all need one thing, just one. A woman hard enough to encourage everyone around her to never quit. We've read about the lessons learned from what is this?
POWs.
Oh, America's POWs, and how hope was usually what got them killed. Can you elaborate on this concept for our listeners?
The hope concept?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great one.
Ooh,
I like that. I actually wrote that down too. I have
so I'm going to answer the first part of that question if you'll let me.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know where things got off, where women became less powerful.
Yeah.
It was either they decided to, men may have decided to, social media, maybe a movie decided to put something in there and everybody paid attention to the movie because clearly movies are accurate, and they're not. But if you look throughout history, there's never been a successful man without a successful woman by his side. Come to find out, it's by her side. He's by her side. I think due to the way things were written about, the man was the lead role.
Yeah.
But the woman did the whole fucking thing. Because men are lazy. They're really lazy. If left up to a man, they wouldn't even build a house because they don't give a shit. I'll sleep on the floor. I don't care.
Mattresses. I mean, you guys are known for having mattresses
better
on the
than
floor.
Mattress that costs $1 million, And so the organization of greatness happens only from a woman who is relentless, and she ain't going anywhere. So those two skills, where are they teaching it in society? Be like woodpecker lips tough. That's what a woman has to be. Like tough as nails. And they don't teach it. Having taught my daughter it makes a huge difference to a woman to be tough. Not so much to not be tough. So, and then there's a lot of stuff we could talk about there. But the other thing, the hope. I'm not a fan of hope. It's the worst, to me, it's worse than the word fear, because hope will destroy you by inaction. People who use the word hope harbor no responsibility to do anything about it. And nobody has taught anybody that. I hope things get better. Well, you ain't going to do anything about it. The moment you say hope, it's no longer your responsibility to do anything.
That's right.
I hope the weather's good tomorrow. Okay. Nothing I can do. I'm forlorn and I'm not going to engage it. I hope my wife loves me. Good. It's not my responsibility to encourage her at all anymore. I hope my daughter does well in school. Good. I'm now no longer responsible to doing anything about it. I hope I get a good job. Now it's no longer up to me to get a good job. So the word hope needs to be shut down quickly in the human language. However, there's a whole group of people that prosper from hope, because when you teach people hope, you enable them to do nothing. Then they need you more. Then they don't have any capability. So, which is a sad, even though we weren't going to talk politics, it's a whole sad part.
Yeah.
And that hope is terrible. And when you hear it, it's not what was translated in the Bible. The word hope wasn't hope. It's translated differently. Like the original Hebrew version of that word is a whole different meaning. But now it's been destroyed.
It's so funny because she just told me there's been whole campaigns on hope. And I just
I was
put
like,
that together.
I'm like, wasn't so-and-so's campaign about hope?
I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true.
Makes sense.
Yeah, hope that things will get better. Good. Yeah. Thank God. Somebody's going to come and make them better for us.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
And it never happens.
It never happens.
And increase your tax base. Oh, still not going to happen. But you can go out and pick up your own trash.
Yeah.
You can wash your own car. Yep. You can pay your own bills. You can not buy that thing. And watch how great things will happen when you stop engaging in the hope transfer. But
you know, it's I
hate that you asked that.
I know he's like
it's you got him thinking. On a related note, it got me thinking, because I've surrounded myself in the last 5 to 10 years with some really amazing people. And I played college football, and before my second son was born, you could catch me on that couch every Saturday watching football all day. And as my second son was born, that kind of started to go away. And then I was talking to one of my really close friends, and I was like, man, I have not watched football in years, and I have no interest, and I really just don't know why. And he goes, he's never had a TV in his life. He's always been a doer. And he's like, well, I think it's because so many people, they get, they put on their t-shirt and it's like me against you. It's like, we're not doing anything. We're fighting against each other for the people that we're watching.
Right.
We're fans. And I think that ruined football for me. It ruined spectator sports. And I'm sorry if I ruined spectator sports for people. I don't mean to do that. I played football my whole life. I loved the sport. But I just can't watch it anymore because I feel like it's a related thing. It's like, instead of doing something else, you're watching football, and it's just weird how that happened to me.
Did you even know there were people in the stands?
No, not at all. Yeah, everybody would say whether it's packed or not, all I could hear was the call, or you could hear your coach clearer than anything else. It didn't matter how.
Packed or not packed, right?
It's like you're in it, and again, it's that thing, once you're done, there's a depression because you lose that huge dopamine rush that you get from doing things. And so you got to go find something else to do. So I've done a lot of other things.
I played college sports as well. The moment I left it. One is I replaced it very quickly with something else. So I stopped playing football at West Point, and then I immediately got ready to go into the SEAL program. So I replaced something very fucking hard with something even fucking harder. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And so I also recommend that. There was something that was a calling that you have to replace with another calling that's equal to it, depending on whatever age you are. Like, you can't always compete at high level, but replacing your day with something that's equally of a master level calling is needed for men.
Yeah, we
are definitely for men.
This same friend, we were saying, like, when we're 90 years old, we're gonna be the best shuffleboard players like you've ever seen in your life.
So competitive.
Like we're gonna,
That's so funny.
I have a question now because I'll ask this. It's a quick aside, just kind of curious why, an Army guy chose to go into, I guess because you can go directly into Buds, but you can't go directly to Rangers, right? You can't go to Ranger school. Or was it something personally that you enjoyed more about the SEAL ethos versus, like, because I understand Rangers are more, it's a totally different experience, and Delta Force and all that is a totally different experience. Just curious why Buds after West Point?
Well, you got to look back at the time. So in the late 80s, there was no ethos. There wasn't even social media. So I didn't have that reference. But the reason why SEALs was there is because I had grown up wanting to be a SEAL from probably 12 years old. And I had known 4 or 5 of them that were friends of our families. And my dad was like, oh, hell no, dude. 90% of the people do not make it through. Why would you go do that? And he was a West Point grad. So I was like, you know what? I want to be in the military somehow. And it was either that or play football at Tennessee. I gave up a full ride to be a cornerback at Tennessee in the 80s, late 80s. And I'm like, I want to go play for West Point and then be in the military. And since that didn't work out, I was down to bottom. I had hit rock bottom again. And my buddies that were SEALs were like, okay, now you can go do it. I'm like, hey, everybody's going to think I'm a moron for trying to go into the SEAL program. And the guy's like, well, it can't get any worse than it is right now. You can't even get into school. Like, you got an F, so no school will touch you. And so I signed up for the SEAL program, and it was an 18-month wait I'm like, well, fuck, what am I going to do now? I still have 18 months. So I went to Ball State on a probationary, look, and I just went every day to class with the intent to do whatever it takes to get a degree. And I got it done in 18 months, and then I graduated from that and went straight into the SEAL program. But I was on a delayed entry program at the time because the reason why the SEALs was there is because it represented the hardest thing I could possibly think of doing. And I didn't want to do something middle of the road again. And to me, West Point had represented a middle of the road conversation, not the top end. And but I finally made it to the SEAL program, and the rest was hard. It was 10 times harder than my worst nightmare. But
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, so I'll just ask my real question. That was just a quick aside. So, a lot of, I think that the other powerful lesson about love that I think will help a lot of listeners in relationships is your distinction between what many of us tend to do and what we should do. So like, this is so good. We like to give space to the good and always deal with the bad, instead of giving space to others' faults and weaknesses and dealing with their greatness. This is a big goal for me this year because my thing is tell the truth always. But last year, I feel like my ego got in the way. And, even in your book, I believe, unless I put that in my notes just because it's such a big thing for me about seeing people as God sees them. That's kind of one of my tricks this year, to love people. So, it's kind of how I'm paying attention to that tendency. So, what would you add that could help people with egos like myself to help them, deal with the good and give space to the bad?
The give space analogy, it took me a long time to work on the wording of that. Another way to say that is treat everybody as if they're God. And no matter what you get from them, if they shit on you, if they do something stupid, give space to that. And then treat them as if they're God anyway. Wow. And how that gets, the editor had trouble rewriting that, and I'm not a great writer, so it probably didn't make as much sense. A way to look at that in relationships with anybody. So anybody you meet on the street, treat them as if they're God. And they're not going to act that way. Right. It's not up to them to act that way. It's up for you to see them that way. Right. Somebody with ego cannot see anybody outside of them greater than themselves.
Right.
That's it.
So it would be very hard for you to. So if I'm displaying big ego and I have a fucking massive one and I get beat down all the time, yep. And Stacy's like, "Are you done with that? You get 5 minutes." I'm like, "God damn it." So if I'm displaying this ego-centered person, I can't see anything great in anybody else while I'm displaying ego.
Right.
And it was very poignant with my kids. Obviously, they can't do anything like I can do it. And Stacy had to remind me, "Hey, your son's only 12. And this is the first time he shot a gun. He can't do it the way that you think he can." With my daughter, I had to keep reminding myself that she is young and just needs more practice with something, especially in the world of lacrosse when she was in high school. And I would browbeat her. And she'd be like, "Dad, I don't want to play anymore." I'm like, "Well, fucking practice. Why are you not out here practicing?"
I know.
And Stacy,
I can be like that.
You can't say that.
I can be like that.
You can't.
Yeah.
All you can do is go out there with her and let her see you there. I'm like, "Well, I never had anybody help me like that." She goes, "So?" And my ability to drop my own ego with my daughter caused her to be #1 player in the state 2 years in a row. and she made the All-American lacrosse team.
Wow.
Wow.
But she wanted to quit. As long as my ego was there, she wanted to quit.
So true.
And to me, it's not a testament of me. It's a testament of how fucked up ego is.
Yeah.
And it's not effective. And people don't get to show up at all in your life when you have ego. And they don't get to show up in their life. Like you really anchor them being fucked up forever is if your ego is always in flare. And when I saw that in my daughter, I'm like, I don't want my ego to show up anymore, but it shows up all the time. And now my sons, both of them, they're like, Dad, this thing that you're doing, it's not working. Like, God damn it. And when I let it go, they are remarkable, like the millisecond later. And, but it's very hard to do. And what we do in our training is we spend about 6 hours on ego, and it's the most emotional thing. Like, I don't even like that part of the training, but we had 50 people there last training session, and it was a 6-hour emotional drain. It's draining for other people to experience your ego.
Yeah.
And to me now it becomes the most remarkable point of training is what's your life like when their ego isn't there? And people are so successful in everything they do without it.
Wow.
It's I wonder, we had a trick, we're always looking for little tricks because, for me, like the other thing that she told me.
Life moves fast. I need this now.
Yeah. And one of them was, do you see the downside? I think we should switch from, because we were saying that another way that we can love people better is to see them as disabled. But do you think that's the God thing is, I think that might be even better.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to feel pity.
Right.
You don't want to feel pity for someone. So what would you say, like saying that person's like, you're so high, that prompt in your mind versus saying that the person's like disabled? Do you see a downside to that, looking at it that way?
Maybe seeing people as naked and disabled can let you talk to them. I don't know.
Yeah, I think your way's better. That's why I think your way.
People are remarkable.
Yeah.
There's not enough people that let them see their own level of being remarkable. There's enough, beat downs in the world. Like society's going to beat you down anyway, whether they want it to or not. Tax season is a beat down for a lot of human beings. But if you want to see what they're capable of doing, don't see them as being crippled.
Right.
There you go.
Like the worst thing a parent can do to a kid that has a disability is treat them with their disability. Like, oh, fuck, I don't give a shit if you don't have a leg. Get the fuck up and let's go. That kid now has a whole other life than everybody going, oh, he's crippled. Well, then he is crippled. His life will be, I am crippled. And that the God analogy is don't let anything get in the way of that person being the best version of themselves possible. That's how I would look at it. And it's hard. It's not easy. It's very difficult.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. Agree.
A lot of mindfulness on this for us because, our boys, that's a big thing for us this year. We said we're committing to our boys being, I don't want to say we love them just as they are, but how do we put it into words, my love, what we said earlier about the boys?
How old are they?
We want 9 and 6.
Okay.
And they fight
like good
dogs.
ages.
All they do is fight all day and drive me insane.
And you know what? We operate.
They're just like,
yeah,
all
and
day.
we've realized that we operate out of fear because one of them has the gene that I have that it's like run straight into it, and if it happens in a blink of an eye, you're going in. The other one has and I don't know how to teach the other one. It's really hard for me, and I'm like, I'm gonna be that father who makes it worse, who pushes him in the opposite direction, and actually self-fulfilling prophecy. He becomes the person that that I'm afraid he's going to become.
Right.
And so we're really focusing on that this year.
If I can be any value to you both,
yes, please.
This is probably the conversation.
Yeah.
Two things. The woman makes the sons. Don't ever think that you, as the dad, are going to make your sons tough. The woman makes the sons tough. The dad just reinforces it. For a father that has multiple boys, there's always a boy that the father says, just not like me. They're just not like me, whatever that conversation is. And then there's the boys that are just like you. They probably move like you. They like the things that you like. It doesn't really show up at a certain age, but from 8 until 14, these are the ways that you interact with your kids. And then, but if you can't do it between 8 and 14, you can't do it later. So here's the deal. If they're just like you, show them.
Right.
Yeah.
So show them. Because if you show them something, boy A is going to go do it. And then he'll love the fact that you're out lifting, shooting, doing stuff with them, and they'll mimic. The one that you think isn't like you, you have to do the opposite. So boy 2, he has to show you.
Right. Wow.
So you show me. I'm not going to show you how to do this. You show me. So he shows you, and you're like, well, in your brain, you're like, that's the fucking dumbest thing I've ever seen. Do it exactly the way that they show you. So if he shows you how to dribble and it's wrong, do it the way that he showed you.
Right.
So he's teaching you him, and you're mimicking him back to him. But if you make that wrong, he'll shut down.
Right.
So if he wants to be Nintendo, then you have to play Nintendo with him. Eventually, he'll say, Dad, can you show me how to lift? I'd love to.
Right.
You still go to lift, and then you make him show you. Show me how to do a bicep curl, and then he'll show you, and then, but the whole mindset is different. The ones that you think aren't like you become you. The ones that you think are just like you, the woman will take charge of. It's a weirdest dynamic, and having taught maybe 200 males with sons, this dynamic, it's transformative. And now it's not a fight. With boy 2, you have to show them. With boy 1, they show you.
Right.
Whatever they show you, I don't care. They want to do nothing. Okay, good. I want to go do nothing with my son. He wants to lay a certain way, then you lay a certain way. He wants to do a certain thing, then you do, not all day, but 10 minutes of him showing you his life. It's huge. Yeah. And no men will do that. I have to teach my son how to be tough. Not that son, you don't. You have to let him teach you. And then in the process of him sharing who he is with you, he becomes you. Because then he has no choice. Then he'll start doing things because he'll see you do it like him. Like, he's left-handed. All right, I want to teach me how to write left-handed. Dad, that's stupid. Why are you writing left-handed? Because you are. It's important that I do things just like you. And then all the bullshit leaves, all the conversation between man and son. And in the meantime, the wife takes charge of everything else that's going on. Because the one that's already like you, she just needs to keep from him doing damage to himself. You know what I mean? Because he's the one that's going to break everything. Like you. You were going to break everything. It's more fun to be with the kids that are breaking things and, being athletic. but you don't need to spend time with them. You need to spend time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes with the one that seems to be like the ugly duckling, so to speak. And it's huge. It's huge what happens.
Wow.
And I never thought I would ever be in these conversations with adults. I thought it was about making, money and doing well in businesses and helping bosses lead companies. Here's what's really going on. The stuff that's going on at home is detrimental to business. You make stuff work at home, every business will flourish. Because when the bosses have a great life at home, their business, they'll ensure everybody in their business has a great life. And when that happens, they'll print money. Any business will print money when everybody's life works. But there's so many adult males that struggle with what you just said.
Yeah.
Like, man, here's the deal. I still agree with this. The woman makes the sons. It's not up to the men. The men are lazy.
Yep.
This is true.
Well, that's why I honestly, I think that was the best part of the whole interview.
Stacey on here or something.
Yeah, that was the best part of the whole interview. Yeah, if she's open to going out in public, we'd love to have her as well. Oh, that's great.
She would laugh about everything I just said. She's like, no, here's what really happens.
Yeah. I love that.
That's the best part. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We want to, of course, be respectful of your time, but we want to give you a chance. Where can people find out more about you online? What you've got coming up in the next quarter or two? Anything interesting that you want to share for our listeners?
The best way is unbreakableleadership.com. We're on all the social media platforms, and myself and my partners are responsive. THOMSHEA is usually the easiest way to search us out. And but this next weekend we have a leadership summit here in Greenville, and we just get together with all of our clients who bring their friends who want to hear about the trainings that we provide, and that's this next weekend. And then beginning in February is where we ramp up all of our weekend trainings, and we have one in Lubbock beginning at the middle part of February, and then at the end of February we're having one in Greenville. And the training's about being the best version of yourself and making very quick improvements in your health and in your ability to make money. And then the second training is about how to be in profound relationships, both at work and at home. And like what you were alluding to, is the 21-day assignment is brutal. So the one that we do in training is ruthless. And and still to date, I've only seen 10% of the people be able to accomplish a 21-day assignment.
Wow.
And and the books are on Amazon. 3 Simple Things and Unbreakable you can buy on Amazon.
Yeah, we already got that one. We haven't started it yet. But yeah, so Thom, thank you so much. I plan on going with Jamie. If you don't mind, I'll go first. I don't think it's good if we go together. Or is it good for couples?
Oh, it's massive if you come together.
Okay.
The last time we had in Lubbock, we had 20 couples and then 7 freeloaders, I called them.
Well, it's by your birthday. It's around your birthday. When is the one in April that Jamie was alluding to?
Oh, shoot. Hold on if you give me a second.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
It's April. Oh, well, I should know this, but it's my business, but I don't remember anything. April 10th and 11th here in Greenville.
Yes, because we have to go to Mexico at the end of the month.
I was like,
she wrote Mexico down. I was like,
on.
please don't say 22nd to the 25th. But her birthday month is April, so April 26th.
That'll
so
be good.
how about that for a month? We do that with him. We
it's transformative. It will be the hardest, most impressive thing that you'll do.
Honestly, if she goes, my chances of completing it will be so much greater because she's so hard.
You'd complete it by yourself, even if you came without her. It's just what you can do together.
Right.
Because between 2 and 4 in the morning it's very important that if you're both there, a lot of communication happens between 2 and 4 in the morning. It's when everybody's guard is let down and all these other conversations have happened. And it's a marriage solver.
Wow.
And one of the couples just got remarried after 30 years.
Wow.
And they have come to 6 of them.
That's amazing.
Wow.
And I'm like, why would you come? I don't even want to do them anymore. They brought their daughters and their daughters' husbands and boyfriends, and because of the nature of the conversation is, my promise is that it's in your face and it's straightforward, and we only talk about shit that matters to you. And so we walk for an hour and talk for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10-minute breaks
enough,
only, right?
it's probably going to rain. Which is
April showers.
Oh, but you're in Florida, so it's no big deal.
It rains all the time here.
It's always raining. Yep. Well, Thom, we cannot wait to meet you in person. This is going to happen. We'd love to keep in touch on email, and we know our listeners are going to get so much value from this. It was an honor, and it was no better way to start this year. This is going to be a year of putting in work, which is going to be so much more epic. You know, we've seen what's happened throughout the years. Like 2017 for us was one of those years where all the fruits of our labors, you know, we won trips, we did all these things, and this is 2016 though, was when the real work was put in, and I feel this is that year for us, and it's very exciting. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you all. Appreciate you.